Did you know you don't need an orchard to grow calorie-dense protein? If you have 100 days in a stock tank, you can outproduce a walnut grove with these prehistoric-looking crops. Here's the problem. Most gardens produce carbs and vitamins easily. Tomatoes, squash, lettuce, they grow fast. But fat and protein? Those are the hard ones. Most protein-rich plants take years to establish, and high-fat crops are almost always trees. That's a long wait when you're trying to build food security. There are plants that produce nut-level nutrition in a single growing season. Some look like they crawled out of a prehistoric swamp. Some grow underground, and one is technically illegal to plant in half the country. Here are 8 crops that give you the calorie density and protein of nuts without the weight. Number 1, Water Caltrop. These little guys are truly amazing. They look like something designed to puncture medieval armor. The seed is black, hard, covered in sharp spikes that curve, like horns. Ancient armies scattered them on battlefields as caltrops to cripple enemy horses. In Asia, water caltrop has been a food crop for over 3,000 years. The Chinese call it ling. The seed inside that demonic shell is white, starchy, and slightly sweet, like a cross between a chestnut and a potato, but crisper when fresh. You can eat it raw when young, boil it, roast it, or grind it into flour. The best varieties are the 2-horn types, Tropa bicornis, which are easier to crack than the 4-horn varieties. They also have slightly larger seeds with more edible flesh. The plant grows in shallow ponds. In one season, 90 to 120 days, a single plant produces dozens of nuts. Water caltrop was used as a famine food in China and India for centuries. When rice crops failed, people harvested wild water caltrop from ponds and rivers. But there's a catch. It's invasive in parts of North America and Europe. In the US, it's illegal to plant in many states. Check your local regulations first. The workaround. Grow it in containers. A large fish tank works. An old bathtub works. The most common method is using stock tanks. Those big galvanized metal troughs you can buy at farm supply stores for watering cattle. They're 100 to 300 gallons, 2 to 8 feet across. Line it with a pond liner, fill with water, add soil at the bottom, and plant. It's completely contained. Harvesting is easy. Just reach in and pull out the nuts. Some people use 3 or 4 tanks and rotate crops for a continuous harvest all season. Water caltrop grows best in zones 9 to 11, but in containers with warm water, you can push it to zone 7 to 8 with a long, hot summer. Water temperature needs to stay above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 2, sunflower seeds. Sunflowers are the most cheerful crop you can grow, and they produce one of the best nut substitutes on the planet. A single sunflower head can produce 1,000 to 2,000 seeds. Those seeds are 20% protein and 50% fat, comparable to almonds. Around 600 calories per cup of shelled seeds. Native Americans domesticated sunflowers over 4,000 years ago. From seed to harvest, 90 to 110 days. They tolerate poor soil, heat, drought, and neglect. There are 2 main types: oilseed varieties with small black seeds packed with oil, and confection varieties with large striped seeds. For food production, choose oilseed types. They yield more per plant with higher oil content. Oilseed sunflowers taste richer and nuttier, almost buttery. Confection types are milder and slightly sweet. Look for Peridovik or black oil for maximum yield and flavor. For confection types, Mammoth Gray Stripe produces huge seeds. Pro tip: harvest when the seeds are still slightly soft and roast them fresh, and the taste is sweeter and nuttier than store-bought. Harvesting is simple. Wait until the back of the flower head turns yellow and the seeds are plump. Cut the head off, hang it upside down in a dry place, and let it finish drying. Once dry, rub them. Out by hand and store in airtight containers. Sunflowers grow in zones 2 to 11 anywhere in North America. Plant after your last spring frost, and they'll mature before the first fall frost. Number 3, pumpkin seeds. Pumpkins are a Trojan horse. Everyone plants them for the flesh, but the real value is in the seeds. A large pumpkin can contain 200 to 500 seeds. Those seeds are 25% protein, high in magnesium, zinc, iron, and loaded with healthy fats. Ounce for ounce, pumpkin seeds are more nutrient-dense than the flesh. Most pumpkin seeds have a thick hull that's annoying to crack, but there are hull-less varieties that produce seeds with no hull or only a thin, edible membrane. The 2 best seed-specific varieties are Kakai and Lady Godiva. Kakai is a Japanese variety bred almost entirely for seed production. The flesh is minimal. A single Kakai can produce 300 to 400 hull-less seeds. Lady Godiva is similar. Stringy flesh, massive seed yield. Some growers report up to 500 seeds per fruit. These seeds taste completely different from regular pumpkin seeds. They're darker green with a rich, nutty, slightly sweet flavor. Fresh roasted Kakai, or Lady Godiva seeds, taste like a cross between sunflower seeds and pine nuts, earthy, buttery, with a hint of sweetness. Pro tip: if you're growing for seeds, skip pie pumpkins or carving pumpkins. Go straight for Kakai, Lady Godiva, or Styrian varieties. You'll get 10 times the seed yield with better quality. Pumpkins grow 90 to 120 days. Historically, pumpkin seeds were a staple for indigenous peoples across North and Central America. The Aztecs and Mayans roasted them, ground them into paste, and used them as thickeners. To harvest, scoop out seeds, rinse, dry, then roast or store raw. They keep for a year or more. Pumpkins grow in zones 3 to 10. They need warm soil, at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and a 90 to 120 day frost-free season. Number 4, peanuts. Peanuts aren't nuts, they're legumes that grow underground like potatoes. But nutritionally, they behave like nuts. High in fat, high in protein, calorie dense. The peanut plant flowers above ground, then the flower stalk bends down and burrows into the soil. The peanut pod develops underground. This protects them from pests and weather while fixing nitrogen in the soil. Peanuts originated in South America over 7,000 years ago. The Incas buried peanuts with their dead to provide sustenance in the afterlife. In the US, peanuts became a survival crop during the Civil War. Both Union and Confederate soldiers carried them as portable protein. Growing peanuts requires warm soil and 100 to 150 days. They won't germinate until soil is consistently above 65 degrees Fahrenheit. One plant can produce 30 to 50 peanuts. Fresh peanuts, before roasting, taste completely different from store-bought. They're softer, sweeter, with a clean, grassy flavor. Boiled peanuts taste savory, slightly salty, with an earthy sweetness. For variety selection, Virginia types produce large peanuts, great for roasting and boiling. Spanish peanuts are smaller with higher oil content, sweeter, better for peanut butter. Valencia peanuts have 3 or more seeds per pod and are the sweetest, excellent for fresh eating. Runner peanuts are what commercial peanut butter is made from. If you're growing for fresh eating or boiling, go with Valencia. For roasting and storage, Virginia types are best. Peanuts grow best in zones 8 to 11, but you can push them to zones 6 to 7 with a long, hot summer and indoor starts. Use black plastic mulch to warm the soil in cooler climates. Number 5, American groundnut. American groundnut is the only perennial on this list, but it earns its spot because it produces edible tubers in the first year, and then keeps producing bigger harvests every year after. Think of it as an investment that pays dividends immediately and then compounds over time. The tubers are 17 to 20% protein, so high that indigenous peoples and early settlers considered it a survival staple. The plant is a vine with clusters of small flowers that smell like chocolate or cinnamon. The tubers form along the roots, looking like lumpy potatoes strung together like beads. Here's what makes it wild. You can harvest some tubers the first season, leave the rest, and the plant comes back year after year producing more. The first year tubers are small, about the size of a marble, but they're edible. By year 3, they can be golf ball sized or bigger. But once established, it requires almost no maintenance and just keeps producing. The tubers taste nutty and earthy with a hint of artichoke, like a potato crossed with a parsnip, but richer. Raw, they're tough and bitter. Always cook them. Boiled, they become soft and creamy. Roasted, they develop a caramelized sweetness. Look for sources that specify large tuber selections or improved strains. Some growers have selected for larger tuber size over generations. The Pilgrims at Plymouth survived their first winter partly by digging up American groundnut tubers that Native Americans had shown them. The plant is also a nitrogen fixer and tolerates wet soils better than most crops. American groundnut grows in zones 3 to 9. It's native to the eastern U.S. and extremely cold hardy. Vines die back in winter, but tubers survive underground even in harsh freezes. Number 6, soybeans, edamame, or dry soy. Dry soybeans are 35 to 40% protein, higher than any other common crop. They're also about 20% fat. Nutritionally, they're closer to meat than vegetables. Soybeans have been cultivated in China for over 5,000 years. They were one of the 5 sacred grains in ancient Chinese agriculture. The Chinese fermented them into soy sauce, miso, tempeh, and tofu. From a survival perspective, soybeans grow in 90 to 120 days, fix nitrogen in the soil, and store well. Dry soybeans last for years if kept cool and dry. You can also harvest them green as edamame. The challenge? They're not edible raw. Raw soybeans contain enzyme inhibitors that block protein digestion. You have to cook them thoroughly. Fresh soybeans, edamame, taste mild, slightly sweet, and grassy, like a cross between a pea and a lima bean, but firmer. Dried soybeans have a bland, beany flavor unless fermented or heavily seasoned. For a variety selection, Envy is one of the best edamame varieties. Sweet, tender, ready in about 75 days. Butterbean is another excellent edamame type with a buttery flavor. For dry soybeans, Black Jet tastes richer and nuttier than standard yellow soybeans. If you're making tofu or soy milk, go with high-protein yellow varieties like Fiske BV or Early Hakucho. Soybeans grow in zones 4 to 10. They need warm soil, at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and about 90 to 120 frost-free days. They're day-length sensitive, so picking the right variety for your latitude matters. Number 7, chickpeas. Chickpeas have a nutty flavor and firm texture that makes them feel more substantial than other legumes. They're about 20% protein and high in fiber, iron, and folate. They're one of the oldest cultivated crops, grown in the Middle East over 7,000 years ago. Chickpeas were used as currency in some ancient cultures. They were valuable, portable, and didn't spoil easily. From seed to harvest, 90 to 110 days. They're a cool season crop, plant in early spring or late summer. They tolerate drought better than most legumes. Each plant produces 20 to 50 pods. There are two main types: Desi chickpeas, small, dark, with a thick seed coat, and Kabuli chickpeas, larger, cream-colored, with a thin skin. Desi types are more drought-tolerant with a stronger, earthier flavor. Kabuli types are buttery and mild, what you typically see in stores. For variety selection, Kabuli black is excellent, large, easy to cook, great for hummus. Desi chana is a classic Desi type with intense flavor, perfect for curries. Green Kabuli produces green chickpeas with a slightly sweeter flavor. Harvest when pods turn brown and dry on the plant. Pull up the whole plant, hang it upside down, and let it finish drying. Once brittle, shell them by hand. Dried chickpeas store for years. Chickpeas grow in zones 5 to 10. They prefer mild temperatures, 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit during the growing season. They tolerate light frost, so you can plant early in spring or in late summer for a fall harvest. Number 8, tiger nuts, also called chufa. Tiger nuts aren't nuts, they're tubers, but they taste sweet and nutty, and they're packed with energy. About 50% starch, 25% fat, high in fiber. They're basically nature's energy bars. Tiger nuts have been eaten for at least 4,000 years. Archaeologists found them in ancient Egyptian tombs. The Spanish brought them to Europe, and they became popular in Valencia for making horchata, a sweet, milky drink made from ground tiger nuts. The plant looks like coarse grass. In one season, 90 to 120 days, a single plant can produce hundreds of tubers the size of chickpeas. Tiger nuts taste sweet and nutty, somewhere between a coconut and an almond with a slightly earthy undertone. The texture is crunchy when raw, chewy after soaking. Roasted, they develop a deeper caramelized sweetness, similar to roasted chestnuts. Look for yellow or brown tiger nuts. Yellow types are sweeter with a smoother texture. These are used to make horchata in Spain. Brown types are slightly earthier and firmer. Tiger nuts are drought tolerant once established, but they're considered invasive in some regions. In parts of the southern U.S., it's classified as a noxious weed. Check your local regulations before planting. To harvest, wait until the plant dies back in fall, then dig up the roots. The tubers are attached like tiny beads. Rinse, dry, and store. You can eat them raw, crunchy, and slightly sweet, or soak them overnight to soften. Soaked tiger nuts can be ground into paste or blended with water to make horchata. Tiger nuts grow best in zones 8 to 11, though you can push them to zone 7 with a long, hot summer. They need warm soil, above 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and at least 90 frost-free days. Use black plastic mulch to warm soil in cooler zones. Nut trees are great if you have time, space, and patience, but most people don't. These 8 crops give you the same nutrition, protein, fat, calories, in a single growing season. Some grow in water, some grow underground, some look like medieval weapons, but they all produce. And they all deliver food when you need it. Plant them once, and you'll understand why people have been growing them for thousands of years. I hope you liked the video and see you in the next one.